Hi, I'm James Laughlin, a former 7-time world champion pipe band drummer. I want to share with you a little bit of a lesson inside my pipe band drumming inner circle. So every week I have a live practical lesson delivered either by myself or one of my amazing lineup of tutors. So you're going to see a little snippet from that today. And hey, if you would like to get your hands on a free drumming course, a full video course called Drumming Transformation Week, just click in the link below. And hey, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I put out so many video tutorials on pipe band drumming, so I hope you enjoy it.
Since the sticks were so big in my hand at that time, I kind of held them like this because I didn't really have like the size of my hand or the strength to be able to keep that part of it open. Then I also naturally kind of put the butt of my stick outside from my hand. And what I've kind of actually come to realize is that that's actually on having this like kind of side that is hanging out. That's actually a more natural position to be in than if you kind of go the other extreme and then you're trying to like hyper like straighten your wrist. You can kind of see that I'm kind of having to force my forearm to bend in an unnatural way in order to kind of get like that perfect straight line down. Like one thing you might have been taught is, the stick should be an extension of your arm. And I mean, it really depends on like how your wrist is like made and what feels natural to you. But like I remember when I first started like delving into my technique, like really seriously when I was around like 13 or 14, I like tried really, really hard in order to create that like really straight line with my hand. Sorry, my arm and then into my hand and my stick. So with all that being said, I would just play around with. I don't think you should go the opposite way where you're actually creating a curve pointing outwards from your forearm, but anywhere from having the stick perfectly straight, but then also not being afraid to kind of open it up a little bit more and have the stick slightly like away from, slightly pointing inwards from the point of where you're holding the stick in your hand. Like you'll see, like the drummer that comes to mind that does this like relatively noticeably is Reid, Maxwell, the lead drummer of SFU. He plays with a much more what we call German grip position, where the stick is kind of pointing out to the side of that the palm of your hand. So I would just play around a little bit and experiment with what feels natural, and obviously what you've been doing the whole time is probably going to feel natural to begin with, but I just give like where you're holding that stick a little bit more leeway, because when you think about it, if we were to just like play the drums with our hands, we don't like point our hand like kind of outwards like that and then play the drums like this. We would just have our hands like perfectly straight and be playing like this. So if I just have this position here and then I stick a drumstick in it, I'm naturally getting that curve instead of that straight. And this, it's not just because of the wrist position itself. It has a lot to do with how I'm like holding the stick with my fingers. Like for example, if you're in like full German grip, you can't really utilize your fingers very well, just on like the way that it's placed in your hand. And then most drummers, at least in like the pipe band snare kind of realm, will play with an American grip where it's kind of in between that, where it's not completely flat and it's not like thumb all the way over, which we call French grip, where it's very like finger based. And that's like how like timpani players will play, where they need to play with like a lot of finesse and dynamics, where German grip is kind of like seen as more like for power, and then American grip is kind of that excuse me, that in between part where we're still utilizing the fingers, but we also like have the ability to utilize our wrist and being able to get the forearm involved. And that I would also just add on to this is when we're playing a full accent, I would just watch on where you're getting that accent from. So we kind of want to use as kind of as efficient or as small movement as possible. So if you're playing a small accent, and especially if it's in like a run of 5 where we have to play like, you don't want to be using like all of your arms to do that. That's a lot of movement and a lot of unnecessary effort that you're going into that. So most of that is coming from my wrist and my fingers. But then once you get into like the full strokes, I would just watch like how you're creating that accent. So if you relate it to like throwing a ball, how I used like earlier, or like even better, like let's use like a tennis example where like when someone goes to like hit a tennis ball, it's not like they're standing like perfectly straight and then they just pull a tennis racket and go like that. You know, they're using their whole body and they're basically like creating it from their feet and their legs, twisting through their torso and then creating that stroke. It's kind of the same with creating an accent and playing like the drums, where we're not, I'm not encouraging people to kind of like bend from their torso and be able to like go like that, but you should be able to naturally utilize kind of everything from your shoulder to your elbow to your wrist, where when you go up, you're bending from that wrist and moving from your elbow, and then you're following through while you're kind of utilizing the whip from your wrist there, and then also creating some like kind of the space for your wrist to dip down in order for it to propel downwards. So and then you might move like slightly out with your shoulder like that.
I hope you enjoyed that little bit of a clip from our inner circle. If you'd like to see the full video, head on over to pipebandrumminginnercircle.com. I will put that description in the link below. Please be sure to hit that subscribe button, because every week I upload a new video lesson. You don't want to be missing out on that. And please, while you're here, hit that subscribe button.